The Shire is quiet. The lanterns are glowing. Welcome back to the Hobbit's Hideout, where stories grow like leaves on the party tree. Hello, guys. Today we journey far from the rolling green hills to the white city of kings, where ancient secrets bloom only under starlight. Before we wander the stone circles of Minas Tirith together, let's pause, take a long, deep breath, and let the weight of your day melt away like morning mist on the party tree. You've earned this quiet moment, just for you. Imagine the cool mountain air filling your lungs, the distant sound of silver bells in the wind. If any part of this tale makes you smile or brings you a sense of wonder, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Now, let me paint the scene for you. The evening settles over the white stone like a gentle blanket, and somewhere high above the city, where the air grows thin and sweet, an ancient mystery awaits your discovery. Hash, hash. Chapter 1. The new guardian. You stand at the gates of the citadel as twilight paints the white stones purple and gold. The massive doors close behind you with a sound like distant thunder, and suddenly the bustling noise of Minas Tirith's lower levels fades to a whisper. Here, in the highest court of the city, silence reigns supreme, broken only by the soft sigh of wind through ancient stone. Your name is Aldrich, and tonight marks your first watch as guardian of the White Tree. The silver mail shirt feels heavy across your shoulders, still unfamiliar after years of lighter duties in the lower circles. Captain Boromir's son had recommended you personally, though you're still not entirely sure why. You have the right kind of quiet about you, he'd said, eyes twinkling with some private knowledge. The tree chooses its guardians as much as we choose them. The cobblestones beneath your feet have been worn smooth by countless generations of guards, their surfaces gleaming like pearls in the starlight. Each step echoes softly in the circular courtyard, creating a gentle rhythm that seems to match the beating of your heart. You've walked these stones during the day, of course, but night transforms everything. The familiar becomes mysterious. The mundane becomes magical. Before you, rising from its bed of carefully tended earth, stands the White Tree of Gondor. During daylight hours, visitors come to marvel at its silver bark and delicate leaves that shimmer like captured moonbeams. Children point and whisper, nobles bow their heads in reverence, and scholars debate its age in hushed tones. But now, in the deep blue hour before true darkness falls, you see it as few ever have. The tree seems larger somehow. Its branches stretch wider, reaching toward the first appearing stars as if trying to touch old friends. The leaves rustle with no wind to stir them, creating a sound like gentle laughter or perhaps ancient whispers. You've heard the stories. Of course, every citizen of Gondor knows the tales. The White Tree blooms only when hope returns to the realm. Its health reflects the strength of the kingdom. When it flourished, Gondor prospered. When it withered, dark times followed. But those are daytime stories, told in bright halls with warm fires crackling. Here, alone with the tree as night settles around you both, you begin to sense there might be deeper truths waiting in the shadows. Aldrich? The voice makes you turn, though you hadn't heard footsteps approach. An older guard emerges from the darkness near the Tower of Ithilien, his weathered face kind but serious. This is Therin, the man whose watch you're inheriting. 40 years he's guarded this tree, 40 years of nights spent in this sacred circle of stone. Sir Therin, you reply, offering a respectful nod. I wasn't sure you were still here. He chuckles, a sound like autumn leaves stirring. Had to stay for your first night, lad. There are things about this duty that can't be taught in the bright hours. Things you'll need to know. His eyes drift to the tree, and his expression grows thoughtful. Tell me, what do you see when you look at her? You follow his gaze, studying the tree more carefully. I see beauty, sir. History, the symbol of our realm's endurance. You pause, then add more quietly. But there's something else, something I can't quite name. Therin nods approvingly. Good. That unnamed something is why we keep watch. During the day, the tree sleeps lightly, dreams gentle dreams of sunlight and rain. But at night, he steps closer to you, lowering his voice. At night, she wakes fully. And when she wakes, she remembers. Remembers what? Everything. A single word hangs in the air between you like a held breath. Every king who stood beneath her branches, every battle fought in her name, every moment of joy and sorrow in Gondor's long history. She holds it all, Aldrich. Every memory, every dream, every whispered prayer offered in her shade. You feel a chill that has nothing to do with the mountain air. And our job is to listen, to watch, to be present while she shares her memories with the night. Theron places a firm hand on your shoulder. Some nights will be quiet, she'll drowse peacefully, and you'll hear nothing but wind and distant city sounds. Other nights, he glances at the tree again, and you could swear its leaves shimmer brighter for a moment. Other nights, she wants to tell her stories. And when she does, you must be ready to hear them. How will I know? Theron smiles, and some of the solemnity leaves his face. Oh, you'll know. Trust me on that. He begins walking toward the gate and pauses. One more thing, lad. When she does speak, and she will, probably sooner than you expect, don't be afraid. She's not a common tree, true enough, but she's not unkind. She's seen enough of human nature to know a good heart when she encounters one. Sir Theron, wait, but the older guard raises a hand. No more questions tonight. Discovery is half the magic of this duty. Besides, he grins, I suspect you won't be alone for long. With that cryptic comment, he disappears through the gate, leaving you standing in the circular courtyard with only the white tree for company. The silence that follows his departure feels different, now expectant rather than empty. You begin your patrol, walking the ancient pattern around the tree that guards have followed for generations. Your footsteps create a steady rhythm on the stone, and gradually you become aware that the tree's rustling leaves seem to match your pace. Coincidence, you tell yourself. Just the natural movement of air through branches. But as you complete your first circuit and begin a second, you notice something else. The sound isn't random. There's a pattern to it, almost like breathing. Deep, slow breaths that seem to draw in the starlight itself and exhale something warmer, more alive. You pause in your walking, standing directly before the tree's massive trunk. Up close, you can see details invisible from a distance. The bark isn't uniformly white. It's shot through with veins of silver that pulse gently, so subtly you might have imagined it. The base of the tree, where it meets the earth, is surrounded by small white flowers that seem to glow with their own inner light. Hello, you whisper, feeling somewhat foolish but unable to resist. I'm Aldrich. I'll be watching over you now. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, so softly you almost miss it, you hear what sounds like a sigh not of wind through leaves, but of contentment, of recognition, of welcome. The silver veins in the bark pulse once, brighter than before, and one of the small white flowers at the tree's base lifts its head toward you. Your heart pounds, but not with fear, with wonder, with the sudden, certain knowledge that your life has just changed forever. As the first stars emerge fully in the darkening sky above Minas Tirith, you settle into your new role, not just as a guard, but as a witness to something far more ancient and mysterious than you ever imagined. The night is young, and the white tree of Gondor has stories to tell. Chapter 2. Whispers in the wind. 3 nights have passed since your first watch, and each has brought new wonders. You've grown accustomed to the tree's gentle breathing, to the way the silver veins pulse in rhythm with your own heartbeat, to the soft glow of the white flowers that seem brightest when you're feeling most peaceful. What you haven't grown accustomed to is the voice. It started on your second night, not words exactly, but something deeper. Impressions that form in your mind like images reflected in still water. feelings that aren't quite your own, memories that dance at the edge of consciousness before fading like dreams upon waking. Tonight, as you begin your fourth watch, you're hoping for something more concrete. The moon hangs full above the citadel, casting everything in silver light. Your mail shirt has grown comfortable now, familiar weight across your shoulders, and your feet know the patrol route by heart. But instead of beginning your usual circuit, you find yourself drawn to sit on the stone bench that faces the tree directly. "Good evening," you say softly, as has become your custom. The rustling response comes immediately warmer now, more welcoming, like greeting an old friend. "I've been thinking about what Sir Theron said, about you remembering everything. I wonder, what do you remember about tonight? About right now?" The question hangs in the air, and for a moment you feel foolish. But then the silver veins begin to pulse more brightly, and the air around you seems to shimmer. When you next blink, the world has changed. You're still sitting on the bench, still in the citadel's highest court, but now you're not alone. Translucent figures move through the courtyard, kings and queens, guards and gardeners, children and elders. All the people who have stood in this place over the centuries, their forms overlapping like multiple exposures in a painting. They move with purpose, but in perfect silence, some kneeling before the tree, others simply standing in quiet contemplation. Your breath catches, but you're not afraid. There's something profoundly peaceful about the scene, as if you're witnessing not ghosts, but gentle echoes of love and reverence. These are the tree's memories, made visible all the moments of connection, all the times when human hearts touched something greater than themselves. You remember them all. You whisper, and the impression that flows back to you is one of deep, abiding affection. The tree doesn't just remember these people, it treasures them. Each person who approached with genuine respect, each moment of sincere wonder, each prayer offered in times of darkness, all held precious in the tree's ancient consciousness. The vision fades gradually, leaving you alone again in the moonlit courtyard. But the feeling of connection remains, stronger than before. You understand now that you're not just guarding a symbol or protecting a relic. You're keeping watch over a living repository of love, every good intention, every moment of hope, every act of courage that has taken place in this sacred space. You rise from the bench and resume your patrol, but this time each step feels different. You're not just walking, you're participating in a ritual that stretches back through the ages. Every guard who came before you walked the same pattern, felt the same sense of purpose, experienced the same growing awareness of the tree's true nature. As you complete your first circuit, you notice something new. The white flowers at the tree's base aren't just glowing, they're moving, turning slowly to follow your progress around the courtyard. Like sleepy eyes, watching over a cherished friend. The sensation is so unexpectedly tender that you find yourself smiling. "You're watching me as much as I'm watching you, aren't you?" You murmur. The rustling that responds sounds distinctly like laughter, not human laughter, but something older and gentler. The laughter of wind through mountain valleys, of water over stones, of time itself flowing peacefully forward. You pause again, this time near the tree's eastern side, where a particularly large root emerges from the earth before diving back down into the soil. On impulse, you kneel and place your palm against the smooth bark of the exposed root. The sensation is immediate and overwhelming warmth, vast age, deep contentment, and beneath it all, a patience so profound it takes your breath away. Images flash through your mind. The tree is a sapling, carefully planted by hands long since turned to dust. Seasons cycling past like pages in a book, spring's tender green, summer's full glory, autumn's golden peace, winter's silver sleep. Wars passing like storms, leaving destruction in their wake, but never touching this sacred space. Kings rising and falling, each leaving their mark on the tree's eternal memory. But strongest of all is the sense of purpose. This tree wasn't planted merely for beauty or symbolism. It was planted as a guardian itself a keeper of hope, an anchor point for all that is good and enduring in the realm of Gondor. It has weathered every storm, survived every darkness, not through strength alone, but through an unshakable faith in the goodness of those it protects. You lift your hand from the root, feeling slightly dizzy, but more at peace than you've ever been. The tree's presence in your mind is stronger now, less like impressions, and more like actual communication. Not words, but something deeper understanding that flows both ways. Recognition that deepens with each passing moment. Thank you, you whisper, not entirely sure what you're thanking the tree for, but knowing the gratitude is genuine and necessary. The response comes not as sound or vision, but as a feeling of such profound welcome that tears spring to your eyes. You're not just accepted here, you're cherished. The tree has been waiting for you specifically, for your particular combination of wonder and respect, your willingness to listen and learn. In a way you can't fully comprehend, you belong here. The remainder of your watch passes in comfortable silence, your awareness expanded to include not just your own thoughts, but the tree as gentle presence at the edge of your consciousness. You find yourself breathing in rhythm with its slow, deep breaths, your heartbeat gradually synchronizing with the pulse of silver light in its bark. As dawn approaches and the time comes to end your watch, you pause one final time before the tree. The first pale light of morning is beginning to touch the highest towers of Minas Tirith, and you know that soon the tree will return to its lighter daytime slumber, waiting for another night to share its deeper mysteries. Until tonight, you say softly, and the rustling response carries notes of anticipation and affection that warm you from within. You walk toward the gate feeling changed, not dramatically, but in small, significant ways. Your steps are more sure, your breathing deeper, your awareness of the world around you somehow enhanced. You're beginning to understand why Sir Theron spoke of this duty as a privilege rather than a responsibility. Tonight, you think as you make your way down through the city's levels toward your quarters, you'll ask the tree to tell you more. About its memories, about its purpose, about the deeper reasons why it requires guardians when night falls. You're ready now to hear whatever stories it wishes to share. The sun rises fully as you reach your door, painting the white city gold and rose. But your thoughts remain with the silver light that pulses in an ancient bark, and the patient, loving consciousness that watches over Gondor while the kingdom sleeps. Chapter 3. Memories in the Leaves. Tonight marks your 7th watch, and you arrive at the Citadel with the eager anticipation of visiting a dear friend. The tree's presence has become a constant comfort in your thoughts throughout the day, a gentle warmth at the back of your mind that makes even the most mundane tasks feel touched by wonder. The evening is unusually still, with no wind stirring the air. Perfect conditions, you've learned, for the tree's deeper communications. As you settle onto your favorite bench, the one that provides the clearest view of the tree as a magnificent crown, you notice something different. The leaves, normally a soft silver white, seem to shimmer with faint colors tonight. Blues and golds, greens and roses, dancing through the foliage like aurora, captured in miniature. "Good evening, old friend," you say, using the term of endearment that has naturally evolved over your nights together. "You're particularly beautiful tonight." The rustling response carries notes of pleasure and what you've learned to recognize as anticipation. The tree is preparing to show you something special. You place your hands flat on your knees and open your mind the way you've practiced, letting go of the day's concerns and making space for whatever the tree wishes to share. The silver veins in the bark begin to pulse more rapidly, and the colored lights in the leaves grow brighter. Then, without warning, you're no longer sitting in the present. You stand in the same courtyard, but it's different, newer somehow, with sharper edges to the stones and brighter white in the walls. A young man kneels before the tree, which is smaller than you know it, barely more than a sapling, with delicate branches that sway in a gentle breeze. The man's clothing marks him as nobility, and the circlet on his brow identifies him as a king. But what strikes you most is his expression. A mixture of hope and desperate prayer. It speaks of dark times barely survived. His lips move in words you cannot hear, but the tree's memory supplies the emotion. Gratitude for victory, fear for the future, and above all, a bone-deep weariness that comes from carrying the weight of an entire kingdom's survival. The vision shifts, flowing like water into a new scene. Now the tree is fuller, more mature, its branches heavy with silver leaves. An older man sits beneath it, not a king this time, but a gardener in simple clothes. His hands are gentle as he tends the flowers at the tree's base, and his weathered face is peaceful. He hums softly as he works, a melody that seems to make the tree's leaves dance. You realize you're seeing not just random memories, but a carefully chosen sequence. The tree is telling you a story, showing you how it has been loved and tended through the ages, how it has served as both witness and comfort to those who sought its presence. Another shift, and now you see a young woman in a wedding dress, her hand in that of a tall man with kind eyes. They stand before the tree together, and you understand without being told that this is their wedding blessing, that they've chosen to begin their marriage in the presence of something they trust to endure longer than their own lives. The tree, as memory of this moment, glows with warmth. It has witnessed their joy and will remember it always. The images come faster now. Children playing beneath the branches while their parents watch fondly. Soldiers returning from battle to offer prayers of thanksgiving. Scholars debating philosophy in the tree's shade while it listens with patient amusement. Each memory is bathed in golden light, showing you not just what happened, but how the tree felt about each moment. But then the tone changes. The light grows dimmer, the colors muted. You see the tree struggling against some unseen blight, its leaves browning at the edges, its silver bark dulling to gray. The courtyard around it grows wild and neglected, weeds pushing up between the stones. This is the time of Gondor's decline, when the kingdom's weakness was reflected in its sacred symbol. The tree's memory of this period carries profound sadness, not for itself, but for the people who had lost hope, who no longer came to sit in its presence because they could no longer believe in anything greater than their immediate sorrows. The loneliness in this memory is heartbreaking, and you find yourself reaching out instinctively, trying to offer comfort across the centuries. Your gesture is noticed. The tree's consciousness touches yours directly for the first time, and the sensation is like being embraced by starlight itself. Vast, ancient, infinitely gentle, but also unmistakably alive and aware. When it speaks, it's not in words, but in pure understanding that blooms in your mind. I show you these memories not to sadden you, but so you might understand. I am more than symbol, more than ornament. I am a keeper of the realm's heart, every joy, every sorrow, every moment when mortals reached beyond themselves towards something eternal. These memories are not burden but treasure, not weight but wings. The dark period fades, replaced by brighter scenes. The tree recovering, new growth reaching toward the sun, the courtyard restored and tended once more. And through it all, the same truth repeated in countless variations. Hope returns, love endures. Goodness prevails not through grand gestures, but through the accumulation of small acts of faith and tenderness. This is why I require guardians when night falls. The tree continues, its mental voice like wind through summer leaves. During the day, I rest in the present, content to be what I appear. But at night, when the boundary between now and then grows thin, the memories press close. Without a companion to share them with, they become too heavy to bear alone. You understand now. Your role isn't just to protect the tree from physical harm. It's to serve as a witness to its remembrances, a friend to share the weight of eternal memory. Every guard who has walked this circuit has served the same function, each adding their own thread to the continuing story. How many guards have you known? You ask aloud, curious about your place in this long tradition. The answer comes as a cascade of faces, men and women of all ages, each one remembered with distinct fondness. Sir Theron as a young man, serious and eager to prove himself worthy. Before him, a woman with laughing eyes, who used to sing lullabies to help the tree sleep. Before her, an old man who told jokes that made the leaves rustle with amusement. Hundreds of guardians stretching back through the centuries, each one unique, each one treasured. And now you, the newest link in this chain of companionship and care. The tree's affection for you is already deep and genuine, based not on what you might do in the future, but on what you've already given your attention, your respect, your willingness to listen and learn. The visions begin to fade, the colored lights in the leaves dimming back to their usual soft silver glow. You find yourself once again sitting on the stone bench in your own time, but changed by what you've experienced. The tree's memories have become part of you now, its vast perspective adding depth to your own understanding of time, duty, and the enduring power of hope. Thank you, you whisper, the words carrying more weight than they ever have before, for trusting me with your memories, for letting me be part of your story. The rustling response is filled with such warmth that you feel it in your chest like a second heartbeat. You are more than part of the story, no. You are helping to write it, adding your own thread to the tapestry of connection and care that stretches back through the ages and forward into an unwritten future. You resume your patrol with new purpose, understanding now that each step you take, each breath you draw in this sacred space becomes part of the tree's eternal memory. You are not just guarding the symbol of Gondor's hope, you are actively participating in its continuation, ensuring that the chain of love and vigilance remains unbroken. The night deepens around you, but you feel no loneliness. You walk in the company of centuries, guided by the gentle presence of an ancient friend who remembers everything and loves deeply. And in that walking, in that sharing of purpose and presence, both you and the tree find exactly what you need: companionship that transcends the boundaries of species and time. Connection that makes even the longest night feel like a gift. Chapter 4. The Guardian of Stars. 2 weeks have passed since the Night of Memories, and your bond with the white tree has deepened beyond anything you thought possible. You've learned to read its moods like weather patterns, the gentle stirring that means contentment, the brighter pulse of silver when it's preparing to share something important, the barely perceptible leaning of branches that indicates where you should focus your attention. Tonight feels different from the moment you enter the courtyard. The air itself seems thicker, charged with an energy that makes your skin tingle and your breath come shorter. The tree stands more erect than usual, its leaves practically luminous in the starlight, and you can see what looks like tiny sparks of light dancing among the branches. Good evening, you begin as always, but before you can continue, a voice responds, not the wordless communication you've grown accustomed to, but an actual voice, deep and resonant as distant thunder. Good evening, young guardian. You spin around, heart hammering, searching for the source of the words. At first you see nothing but the familiar courtyard, bathed in silver moonlight. Then, near the base of the tree, the air begins to shimmer and coalesce, like heat waves on a summer day, gathering themselves into form. A figure emerges from the light, tall and dignified, wearing the simple robes of a gardener, but carrying himself with unmistakable nobility. His face is ageless in a way that speaks of great wisdom rather than eternal youth, and his eyes hold depths that remind you of the tree's own ancient consciousness. Don't be afraid, he says, noticing your tension. I am Elisir's gardener, though I served long before that name was known. I tend to her needs when the physical world cannot reach what she requires. You start, then stop, unsure how to finish the question. A spirit, yes, bound to this place by love rather than duty, by choice rather than curse. He moves toward the tree with familiar ease, placing a translucent hand against its bark. The tree responds immediately, leaves rustling in what you've learned to recognize as joy. I was the first to be appointed as her night guardian, long centuries ago. When my mortal watch ended, I found I could not bear to leave her alone with her memories. You find your voice at last. Sir Theron said the tree chooses its guardians. Did it choose you to return? The spirit, for lack of a better word, smiles. She asked, and I answered, just as she asks now. And you answer each night by coming here, by listening, by caring. He turns to face you fully, and his expression grows more serious. But tonight, she needs more than listening. Tonight, she needs protection of a different kind. Protection from what? From forgetting. The words send a chill down your spine. You have seen her memories, learned how she treasures each moment of connection, each act of love performed in her presence. But memories, even for one as strong as she, can fade if they are not actively preserved. And there are forces that would see her forget not from malice, but from a misguided belief that the past should not influence the present. You look from the spirit to the tree, noting how the silver veins in its bark are pulsing more rapidly now, and how the dancing lights in its leaves have taken on an almost frantic quality. How can I help? By becoming more than a guardian, he replies. By becoming a keeper of memory itself. She has been preparing you for this, though you may not have realized it. Each night you've spent here, each moment of connection you've shared, has been training for what must come next. As if summoned by his words, the tree's consciousness touches yours again, but this time the contact is deeper, more complete than ever before. Instead of sharing memories, it begins to transfer them, not just showing you what happened, but making those experiences part of your own mental landscape. The process is overwhelming. Centuries of moments flood through your awareness. The planting of the first seedling, the coronation of dozens of kings, countless prayers and celebrations, and quiet moments of reflection. Wedding ceremonies and funeral rites, victory celebrations, and somber councils of war. The daily tending of generations of gardeners, the changing of guard watches stretching back through uncounted years. But along with the memories comes understanding. You see now how the tree serves not just as symbol, but as anchor, a fixed point of continuity that helps hold the realm as identity, steady through all the changes and challenges of mortal existence. Kings die, dynasties end, entire ages pass into legend, but the tree remembers, and in remembering, keeps the essential spirit of Gondor alive. The connection is strong. The spirit observes with satisfaction, stronger than many who have served before you. She has found in you someone capable of carrying not just her individual memories, but her entire purpose. I don't understand, you manage to say, though your voice sounds far away to your own ears. The transfer of memories continues, each one adding to your expanding awareness of the tree's true nature and role. You will, he assures you. When the time comes, and it will come, perhaps sooner than you expect, you will understand completely. For now, simply accept what she offers. Let her memories become yours. Let her purpose become part of your own. The process intensifies, and you feel your individual consciousness beginning to merge with something far larger and older. But instead of losing yourself, you find yourself expanded, enhanced, made more than you were. The tree's vast patience becomes part of your temperament. Its deep love for the realm becomes part of your motivation. Its unshakable hope becomes part of your faith. When the transfer finally completes, you find yourself changed in ways both subtle and profound. You are still yourself, but you are also something more, a human vessel for ancient wisdom, a living repository for memories that must not be lost. Now you understand? The spirit says gently. This is why the tree requires night guardians, not to protect it from physical harm, but to ensure that its memories have a mortal anchor, someone who can carry them forward should the tree itself ever be threatened. Has it been threatened before? You ask, though part of you already knows the answer from the newly acquired memories. Several times. Blight, warfare, the simple passage of ages, all have posed risks to her continued existence. But always, there have been guardians ready to preserve what she holds most precious. And now, should the need arise, you are prepared to do the same. The implications are staggering. You are no longer just a guard walking nightly rounds. You are a keeper of Gondor's living memory, entrusted with preserving the essential spirit of the realm itself. The responsibility should feel overwhelming, but instead it feels right, natural, like settling into a role you were always meant to fill. What happens now, you ask? Now you continue as before, but with deeper understanding, the spirit replies. Walk your rounds, share your presence, offer your companionship. But know that you do so not just as guardian, but as partner. She depends on you now in ways that go beyond simple protection. The spirit begins to fade, becoming translucent again, but his voice remains clear. And remember, should danger ever truly threaten, should her physical form ever be at risk of destruction, the memories live on in you. Through you, she can be restored. Through you, the chain of connection remains unbroken. He disappears completely, leaving you alone with the tree in the starlit courtyard. But you don't feel alone. You feel more connected than ever, not just to the tree, but to the entire sweep of Gondor's history and the promise of its future. You resume your patrol with new understanding, each step now carrying the weight and wonder of centuries. The tree's presence in your mind is stronger than ever, no longer a separate consciousness touching yours, but an integral part of your own awareness. You are guardian and guarded, keeper and kept, mortal vessel for immortal purpose. The stars wheel overhead in their ancient patterns, and you walk beneath them, knowing that you have become part of something larger than yourself, not diminished by the merging, but enhanced beyond anything you previously thought possible. The white tree of Gondor has found in you not just a guardian, but a true partner in its sacred mission. And in the gentle rustling of leaves that follows your every step, you hear not just acknowledgement, but profound gratitude. The tree has chosen well, and so have you. Chapter 5. Roots deep and wide. Your new partnership with the white tree has transformed your nights in ways you're still discovering. 3 weeks have passed since the spirit's visit, and each watch brings fresh revelations about the depth and complexity of your expanded role. Tonight, however, the tree seems unusually restless, its leaves stirring with an urgency you haven't felt before. What is it, old friend? You ask, settling onto the stone bench that has become your preferred spot for deeper communion. Something's troubling you tonight. The response comes immediately, not in words or images, but as a profound sense of anticipation mixed with concern. The tree's attention is focused downward, toward its roots, and slowly you become aware of something you've never noticed before. Beneath your feet, beneath the ancient stones of the courtyard, something vast is stirring. Come closer. The tree's consciousness whispers in your mind. Underscore, there is something you must see, must understand. The true extent of what we guard together. Underscore, you rise and approach the tree's massive trunk, drawn to a spot where one of the great roots breaks the surface before diving back into the earth. As you place your hand on the exposed root, the world around you shifts and changes in a way that has become familiar, yet never loses its power to amaze. Your awareness plunges downward, following the root system as it spreads beneath Minas Tirith. But this is unlike any root system you could have imagined. The roots don't simply spread randomly through the soil. They form a vast network of connections that extends far beyond the boundaries of the city, reaching out across Middle-earth like a web of silver light. Behold, the tree says, and understanding floods through you. The roots of connection that bind all growing things to the memory of the world. You see it now. The white tree is not an isolated entity, but part of a vast network of consciousness that includes every significant tree, every sacred grove, every place where the boundary between the mortal world and deeper mysteries grows thin. The Malern trees of Lothlorien, pulse with golden light in your expanded vision. The old forest stirs with ancient dreams. Even distant Fangorn responds to the network's gentle call. But the connections go deeper still. You sense the presence of other white trees, those that came before this one. Their physical forms long gone, but their essence preserved in the network's memory. The original tree from the undying lands, the saplings that were carried across the sea, the predecessors that stood in this very spot all remain present in some form, their consciousness woven into the living tapestry of connection. I had no idea, you whisper, overwhelmed by the scope of what you're seeing. You're all connected, all of you. Connected and more, comes the reply. Underscore, we are the memory of growing things, the keepers of life's deepest wisdom. What one of us learns, all may know. What one remembers, none will forget. Underscore, the revelation transforms your understanding completely. The white tree isn't just preserving Gondor as memories. It's part of a vast consciousness that holds the accumulated wisdom of all the free peoples. All the moments when hope triumphed over despair. All the times when life found a way to flourish despite overwhelming darkness. Through the network, you sense distant stirrings. The Entwives, long thought lost, whisper in dreams that travel along route paths hidden from mortal awareness. The great eagles share their perspective from mountain peaks, their keen sight adding to the network's understanding of the world's changes. Even the trees of the Shire contribute their gentle wisdom, their memories of simple joys and quiet contentments that anchor the larger consciousness in love of peace. And now you are part of this as well. The tree continues, its mental voice filled with warmth. Underscore, through your connection with me, you join the greater network. Your human perspective, your capacity for choice and change, becomes part of our collective understanding. Underscore, the implications are staggering. You are not just a guardian of one tree in one city. You are a liaison between the human world and a form of consciousness that spans continents. Through you, the network can better understand the rapid changes of mortal civilizations. Through the network, you gain access to wisdom accumulated over ages beyond counting. But with this revelation comes responsibility. You understand now why the tree showed you its memories so carefully, why it took weeks to prepare you for this moment. The network's knowledge is vast, but not always easy to bear. You sense ancient sorrows alongside ancient joys, the weight of forests destroyed alongside the hope of new growth, the pain of connections severed alongside the triumph of new bonds formed. Do not fear the weight of knowledge. The tree reassures you, sensing your momentary hesitation. Underscore, you will not carry it alone. The network shares burdens as well as wisdom. What would crush an individual consciousness becomes manageable when distributed among many. Underscore, you feel the truth of this as other presences in the network become aware of your joining. A sense of welcome flows toward you from across Middle-earth, not just from the trees, but from all the connected consciousnesses that make up this vast community of memory and hope. They accept you not as an intruder, but as a necessary addition, a bridge between their ancient patience and the urgent vitality of mortal life. Your awareness returns gradually to your physical body, standing with your hand pressed against the root in the moonlit courtyard. But you are forever changed. Your consciousness now extends beyond your individual mind, touching the edges of something far greater while remaining distinctly your own. How long has this network existed? You ask aloud, curious about the scope of this hidden history. The answer comes as a flow of images, the first plantings in the elder days, when the world was younger and the boundaries between seen and unseen were thinner. You witness the careful cultivation of connections, the patient building of trust between human consciousness and the deeper awareness of growing things. Wars and ages pass in moments, but through it all, the network endures and slowly grows. We began when your people first learned to tend rather than simply take, the tree explains. Underscore, when the first human placed a seed in the earth not from hunger, but from hope. That act of faith in an unseen future created the first true connection between your kind and ours. Underscore, you see it clearly now. Every gardener who has ever planted with love, every farmer who has worked in harmony with the land, every person who has sat beneath a tree and felt comforted by its presence, has unknowingly strengthened these connections. The network is built not on grand magic or ancient power, but on countless small acts of care and respect accumulated over millennia. And my role in all this? You ask, though you're beginning to understand already. You are an anchor point, comes the reply. Underscore, a conscious bridge between the network and the human world of Gondor. Through you, we can better understand the needs and hopes of your people. Through us, you can help guide your realm toward choices that serve both human flourishing and the deeper health of the world. Underscore, the responsibility is enormous, but you find yourself embracing it rather than being overwhelmed by it. This is what you were meant for. Not just standing guard over a single tree, but serving as a conscious participant in the great work of keeping hope and wisdom alive in the world. You begin your patrol with new purpose, but now each step carries awareness that extends far beyond the courtyard. With each circuit around the tree, you feel the network's pulse, the gentle exchange of information and comfort that flows continuously between its far-flung members. You are no longer just walking around a tree. You are participating in a vast meditation on the nature of life, growth, and the interconnectedness of all things. The silver veins in the white tree's bark pulse in rhythm with this greater circulation, and you understand that they read not just decorative, but functional visible signs of the tree, participation in the network that binds all growing things together. Your own heartbeat gradually synchronizes with this deeper rhythm, making you feel more grounded and centered than ever before. As the night deepens, you find yourself naturally settling into a new kind of watch. Instead of simply walking and waiting, you actively participate in the network's continuous work of memory keeping and hope sharing. When a distant tree shares the joy of new growth, you add your human perspective on renewal and fresh starts. When an ancient forest grieves for a fallen member, you contribute your understanding of loss and the possibility of healing. The exchange is profound and mutual. You give your human insights, your capacity for quick adaptation, your gift for finding hope in desperate circumstances, your ability to love fiercely, despite knowing that loss is inevitable. In return, you receive the network's deep patience, its long view of how seemingly dark times always eventually give way to light, its understanding of the slow but inexorable power of growth and healing. Hours pass unnoticed as you walk in commune, your individual consciousness expanded but not dissolved, enhanced rather than overwhelmed. You are still yourself, still Aldrich the Guard, still human with all that entails, but you are also more connected to something vast and wise and enduring. When dawn finally approaches, you realize that your nights will never be the same. You are no longer just guarding the white tree. You are participating in a great work that spans continents and ages, a continuous effort to keep the memory of hope alive in the world. The tree has given you not just purpose, but belonging to something greater than yourself. As the first light touches the peaks of the misty mountains, you place your hand one more time against the tree's trunk. The connection is permanent now, a part of you that will remain active even during your daylight hours of rest. You are always, in some part of your awareness, walking with the network, sharing in its vast circulation of memory and hope. Until tonight, you say softly, but the words carry different meaning now. Tonight will bring not just another watch, but another opportunity to participate in the great work, to serve as bridge, an anchor point between the human world and the deeper consciousness that sustains all life. You leave the courtyard with your awareness still partially extended, still touching the network's gentle pulse. Your role has evolved beyond anything you could have imagined when you first took this assignment, but it feels exactly right, like finally finding the purpose you were always meant to serve. ##. Chapter 6. The Test of Storm and Shadow. 6 weeks have passed since you joined the network, and your life has taken on a rhythm that encompasses both the immediate duties of a guard and the vast, slow work of consciousness bridging that occupies your deeper awareness. Your days are spent in restful sleep that's filled with gentle dreams of distant forests and ancient wisdom. Your nights are spent in active communion with the white tree and the greater network it represents. Tonight, however, something is different. You sense it the moment you enter the Citadel courtyard, a disturbance in the network's usual peaceful circulation, like a discordant note in a familiar melody. The white tree stands more rigid than usual, its leaves perfectly still despite the presence of wind, and the silver veins in its bark pulse with unusual rapidity. What's wrong? You ask immediately, moving quickly to your customary position beside the great trunk. The tree's response comes as a flood of concern and urgent warning. Through the network, it has sensed something approaching, not a physical threat, but something far more dangerous to its essential nature. A void of some kind, a presence that doesn't just lack connection to the network, but actively opposes such connections. Forgetting comes, the tree's consciousness presses into your mind with unprecedented urgency. Underscore not the natural fading of time, but deliberate erasure. Something seeks to sever the connections that bind memory to memory, hope to hope. Underscore, you feel it now too. A cold pressure at the edges of your expanded awareness, like frost forming on a window or shadows deepening beyond their natural bounds. Through the network, you sense other trees responding with alarm. The Malern trees of Lothlorien draw their consciousness inward protectively. The trees of Fangden rustle with agitation. Even the distant birches of the Shire seem to shiver with more than ordinary wind. What is it? You ask, though part of you already suspects the answer. You've heard whispers in the barracks, rumors of strange happenings in the Eastern Territories, places where people wake with no memory of their dreams, where the very landscape seems drained of history and meaning. Shadow without form, emptiness with purpose, comes the reply. Underscore, it feeds on connection itself, grows strong by isolating consciousness from consciousness until nothing remains but individual fragments, alone and afraid. Underscore, the description sends a chill through you that has nothing to do with the mountain air. You've experienced the profound comfort of connection through the network, the sense of belonging to something larger and more enduring than yourself. The thought of that being stripped away, of returning to the terrible isolation you didn't even know you'd been living in, is almost unbearable. But even as the fear touches you, you feel the network responding. Not with panic, but with the kind of deep, patient resolve that comes from ages of experience. This is not the first such threat they've faced, you realize. Darkness has tried before to sever the connections that bind all growing things together, and always the network has found ways to endure and adapt. Your role becomes crucial now. The tree continues, its mental voice taking on a quality you've never heard before, not just communication, but something approaching command. Underscore, as the bridge between human consciousness and our network, you must help us understand how to resist what comes. Your people's adaptability, your capacity for quick response and creative solution. We need these gifts now. Underscore, thunder rumbles in the distance, though the sky was clear when you entered the courtyard. As you look up, you see clouds gathering with unnatural speed, but these are not ordinary storm clouds. They move with too much purpose, swirling in patterns that hurt to look at directly, and where they pass, the stars seem to go out. The network's alarm intensifies. Through your connection, you feel trees across Middle-earth responding to the approaching void, some retreating deep into themselves, others reaching out desperately for stronger connections with their neighbors. The white tree itself begins to glow more brightly, its silver veins pulsing with light that pushes back against the gathering darkness. We cannot flee this. The tree's consciousness flows into yours with absolute certainty. Underscore this place, this connection to the human realm of Gondor, is too important to abandon. We must stand and resist, but we need your help to know how. Underscore, you close your eyes and open your mind fully to the network, feeling your consciousness expand until you're touching the awareness of countless trees, feeling their fear and determination as if they were your own emotions. But along with the expansion comes understanding. You see now what the approaching void truly is, not just emptiness, but a kind of anti-memory, a force that doesn't just erase connections, but makes it impossible to remember that connections ever existed. I understand, you say aloud, your voice steady despite the magnitude of what you're facing. It's not trying to destroy the network directly. It's trying to make us forget that we were ever connected at all. Yes, comes the chorus of agreement from the network. Underscore and forgetting, once begun, spreads like fire through dry grass. If one major node forgets its connections, the isolation weakens nearby nodes until they too begin to lose their bonds. Underscore, the storm is almost overhead now, and the darkness within it is like nothing you've ever seen. It doesn't just block light, it seems to absorb the very concept of illumination, making it hard to remember what brightness looks like. You feel the network beginning to waver as the void's influence strengthens, connections flickering like candle flames in a strong wind. But in that moment of greatest threat, your human nature provides exactly what the network needs. Where the ancient consciousnesses of the trees respond with patient endurance, you respond with defiant creativity. Where they seek to preserve what is, you begin to imagine what could be. We need to remember more intensely, you say, the solution forming in your mind even as you speak it. If it makes us forget, we counter by remembering so vividly that forgetting becomes impossible. You place both hands against the white tree, trunk, and pour every memory you possess into the connection, not just the memories the tree has shared with you, but your own human experiences of connection and love. Your first sight of Minas Tirith's white walls, the pride you felt when you were chosen for this duty, the profound sense of belonging that came with joining the network. Every moment of joy, every instance of hope, every time you felt truly connected to something greater than yourself. The tree responds immediately, amplifying your memories and sending them flowing through the network. Other trees add their own remembrances, ancient joys, moments of perfect peace, the satisfaction of seasons cycling in eternal rhythm. The combined force of shared memory creates a wall of light that pushes back against the encroaching void. But the darkness adapts, pressing harder, trying to slip between the memories and poison them with doubt. You feel it whispering at the edges of your consciousness. Underscore, was the connection ever real? Are you sure you're not imagining this network? Perhaps you've simply been talking to yourself all along. Underscore, for a moment, uncertainty wavers through you. But then you remember something crucial. The look in Sir Theron's eyes when he spoke of the tree's true nature, the way he smiled as if he knew a wonderful secret. He was part of this network too, you realize. Every guard who has ever served here has been brought into the connection, has served as a bridge between human and tree consciousness. We are not alone, you say firmly, speaking both to the network and to the void that seeks to isolate you. We have never been alone. The connections are real, the love is real, the hope is real. You reach deeper into your memory, finding not just your own experiences, but the inherited memories the tree has shared with you. Centuries of connection, millennia of patient growth and mutual support. The void cannot erase what has been preserved in so many different consciousnesses, cannot make you forget what has been woven into the very structure of your being. The storm overhead begins to break apart, its unnatural patterns disrupted by the intensity of remembered connection flowing through the network. Where the void sought to create isolation, you have helped create even deeper bonds. Where it tried to erase memory, you have helped forge memories so vivid they shine like stars in the darkness. The crisis passes gradually, a threatening presence withdrawing before the combined strength of the network's renewed connections. The clouds disperse, revealing stars that seem brighter than before, and the oppressive weight of isolation lifts from your consciousness. Well done. The tree's voice in your mind carries profound gratitude and respect. Underscore, you have given us a gift beyond measure, not just your help in this moment, but a new understanding of how to face such threats. Memory shared is memory strengthened. Connection acknowledged is connection deepened. Underscore, you slump against the tree's trunk, suddenly exhausted but also exhilarated. You've not just survived a test, you've helped the entire network evolve, developing new strategies for preserving the connections that bind all growing things together. Will it come back? You ask, though you suspect you already know the answer. Underscore, perhaps. Such voids are rare but persistent. But we are ready now in ways we were not before. And we have you a bridge between worlds, a keeper of memory who understands both human adaptability and network endurance. Underscore, the remainder of your watch passes in peaceful communion, the network's gentle circulation restored and somehow stronger than before. You walk your rounds with new confidence, knowing that you've been tested and proven worthy, not just of the tree's trust, but of a role in the great work, keeping hope and connection alive in the world. As dawn approaches, you realize that you've crossed another threshold. You're no longer just a participant in the network, you're one of its guardians, actively responsible for protecting the connections that sustain it. The responsibility is vast, but so is the support you'll receive from your countless allies in the growing places of Middle-earth. You are ready for whatever challenges may come. Chapter 7. Dawn of Understanding. 3 months have passed since the Night of the Void, and autumn has settled over Minas Tirith like a gentle blanket of gold and crimson. Your role as guardian and bridge has evolved into something that feels as natural as breathing, a constant, comfortable awareness of the network's pulse beneath your daily life and a nightly deepening into communion that brings both profound peace and purposeful vigilance. Tonight is different, though. Tonight carries the weight of completion, of a cycle drawing to its close and a new one preparing to begin. You sense it in the way the white tree's leaves catch the starlight, in the particular quality of silence that fills the courtyard, in the expectant stillness that seems to emanate from the ancient stones themselves. Something's changing, you say softly, as you settle into your familiar position beside the great trunk. I can feel it in everything tonight. Yes, comes the tree's gentle confirmation. Underscore, the season turns, and with it comes time for new understanding. You have learned to listen, to remember, to protect. Now you must learn the deepest truth of all why we guard what we guard, why the connections matter beyond their simple existence. Underscore, you place your palm against the silver bark and open your consciousness fully to whatever the tree wishes to share. But instead of the usual flow of images or memories, you find yourself expanding in a different way, not back through time, but outward through space, until your awareness encompasses not just the network of trees, but the entire rhythm of life itself. You see Middle-earth as a vast, living organism, every tree, every flower, every blade of grass, part of a greater whole that breathes with the seasons and pulses with the slow heartbeat of the earth itself. The network you've become part of is not separate from this greater life, but its conscious expression, the part that remembers and plans and hopes. We are the dreams of the world. The tree's consciousness flows into yours with infinite gentleness. Underscore, every time a seed takes root in hope rather than hunger, every time a human hand plants for future generations they will never see, every time someone sits beneath our branches and finds peace, these become part of the world as dreaming of itself. Underscore, the understanding that flows through you is so profound it brings tears to your eyes. The network doesn't just preserve memories, it nurtures the world's capacity to dream of better possibilities, to imagine futures filled with beauty and growth and connection. Every act of tending, every moment of harmony between human and natural consciousness adds to this vast store of hopeful dreams. And this is why guards are needed. The tree continues. Underscore, not just to protect us from physical harm, but to ensure that the dreaming continues. Your human consciousness, added to our own, creates new possibilities for hope that neither could achieve alone. Underscore, you see it clearly now. Your role as a bridge between worlds isn't just about communication, but about co-creation. Through your partnership with the tree and the broader network, new forms of hope become possible. Human adaptability merged with ancient patience, mortal urgency balanced by eternal perspective, individual creativity enhanced by collective wisdom. And others will come after me, you say, understanding suddenly that this isn't just about your own journey, but about an ongoing process that extends far into the future. Many others, the tree agrees. Underscore, each bringing their own gifts, their own perspectives, their own capacity for wonder and connection. The guard who will replace you is already being prepared, though they do not yet know it. And you will move on to other forms of service, carrying what you have learned here to new places, new connections. Underscore, the thought of leaving brings a momentary pang of sadness, but it's quickly overwhelmed by excitement about the possibilities ahead. You understand now that your time here has been training for something larger, not just for guarding one tree, but for helping to spread the network's influence wherever human and natural consciousness meet. But that is future knowing. The tree adds with what you've learned to recognize as gentle humor. Underscore, for now, there is tonight, and the completion of your current learning. Underscore, the awareness that flows into you next is the most profound yet not specific memories or knowledge, but an understanding of purpose that transforms everything you thought you knew about hope, duty, and the meaning of service. You see now that every small act of care ripples outward through the network, affecting possibilities and dreams across vast distances and through long periods of time. The kindness you've shown to the tree has strengthened its ability to comfort troubled souls who seek its presence. Your willingness to carry its memories has helped preserve hope that will sustain future generations through dark times. Your participation in the network has added new possibilities for understanding between human and natural, consciousness that will bear fruit in ways you cannot imagine. You are not just guarding the symbol of Gondor's hope. You are actively creating and nurturing hope itself, participating in the world's continuous process of dreaming itself toward better possibilities. I understand now, you whisper, your voice thick with emotion. It's not about the tree, or even the network. It's about the dreaming itself, about keeping the world's capacity for hope alive and growing. Understanding blooms like spring flowers, comes the reply, filled with such warmth and pride that you feel embraced by starlight itself. Underscore, you have become what every guardian hopes to become, not just a protector, but a partner in the great work of tending the world's dreams. Underscore, you begin your final patrol of the night with new eyes, seeing not just the familiar courtyard, but the vast web of connection and possibility that radiates outward from this sacred space. Each step you take adds to the rhythm that sustains the network. Each breath you draw participates in the great circulation of hope that flows between all growing things. The stone beneath your feet holds memories of countless other guardians who walk the same pattern, each adding their own thread to the tapestry of connection. The stars overhead shine not just with their own light, but with the reflected dreams of every consciousness that has ever hoped for something beyond the darkness. The tree itself stands as more than symbol or entity. It embodies the world's faith in its own capacity for renewal and growth. As you walk, you feel the presence of other guardians across Middle-earth, some human like yourself, others belonging to different peoples, all united in the shared work of tending the connections that keep hope alive. You are part of a fellowship that spans species and centuries, bound together not by law or duty, but by love for the growing, dreaming world. The night deepens toward dawn, and with it comes a sense of peaceful completion. You have learned what you came here to learn, grown into the role you are meant to fill, and prepared yourself for whatever service lies ahead. The tree as presence in your consciousness is permanent now, not as foreign awareness, but as expanded capacity for wonder, patience, and hope. Underscore until all seasons turn and return again. Underscore the tree as final communication of the night carries the weight of blessing and the lightness of gratitude. Underscore go in peace, young guardian, knowing that you carry with you always the dreams of the growing world. Underscore you place your hand one last time against the familiar bark, feeling the silver veins pulse beneath your palm in rhythm with your own heartbeat. The connection will never be broken. You know now. Distance cannot sever it. Time cannot erode it. And whatever challenges lie ahead cannot diminish it. As the first light of dawn touches the peaks surrounding Minas Tirith, you walk toward the gate with your heart full of gratitude and your mind expanded by wonder. You go to your rest knowing that you have found your true purpose, not just as a guard or even as a bridge between worlds, but as a tender of the world's capacity to dream itself toward hope. The white tree watches you go with ancient love, its leaves rustling in a wind that carries whispers of encouragement and promises of reunion. For the connection you have forged transcends physical presence, extending into realms where hope itself takes root and grows toward light. In the courtyard behind you, the tree settles into its gentle daytime rest, holding safe the memories and dreams entrusted to its care. And across Middle-earth, the network pulses with renewed strength, carrying the gifts you have given human creativity, adaptability, and the fierce, bright flame of mortal hope that refuses to be extinguished. The guard duty continues, but it is no longer duty alone. It is partnership in the great work of keeping the world's dreams alive, ensuring that hope continues to flow like sap through the vast tree of existence, nourishing all that grows toward light. And in that continuation, in that eternal tending of the world's capacity for renewal, lies the deepest magic of all the simple, profound truth that love shared is love multiplied. That connection acknowledged is connection strengthened, and that hope offered freely returns transformed and transforming. The white tree of Gondor keeps its watch, and so do you, now and always, guardian of dreams and tender of the growing world's endless capacity for wonder. Underscore until our paths cross again beneath the party tree. Thank you for sharing this quiet journey with me tonight, dear traveler. The Shire is always here, waiting to welcome you home. Underscore